Imagine two top contenders in the same weight class, ready to settle a grudge, and then one of them drags the other's girlfriend into the feud. That's exactly what happened when former UFC middleweight title challenger Paulo Costa revealed that unbeaten contender Khamzat Chimaev had been sending nasty messages to Costa's partner on Instagram. Costa exploded at a recent press event, calling Chimaev a coward and vowing, "I want to hurt him," in retaliation. This shocking twist, DMs in a pro-fight beef, has fans buzzing. But to understand how it got so personal, we need to rewind and look at the full saga between these two.
He talked very bad things about me on my girl Instagram DM. So this is totally personal. I feel angry just to hear his name.
The feud really ignited long before those DMs. Back in September 2022, the two almost came to blows at the UFC Performance Institute. Chimaev, then preparing for a welterweight fight, ran into Costa mid-training session, and the two had to be separated by coaches. A month later, Chimaev blew up on the scale and officially moved up to middleweight. With both men now at 185 pounds, UFC brass swiftly booked a grudge match. Costa vs. Chimaev was set for UFC 294 on Oct 21, 2023. But on fight week, Costa pulled out with a serious elbow staph infection. Even UFC President Dana White made a point of defending Costa, saying the Brazilian still wanted the fight. In his place, Chimaev faced former welterweight champ Kamaru Usman, winning a majority decision. After that night, the bout never got rebooked, leaving two fiery rivals frustrated. September 22, Chimaev and Costa nearly brawl at USC's gym. October 23, fight is on the books. UFC 294, but Costa withdraws with an infection. UFC 294, Khamzat beats Usman, Costa Chimaev still unwritten. Since then, social media became their battleground. Both fighters have taken swipes at each other online. Costa continued to call out Chimaev for a fight, saying he's been ready and trying for 2 years. Chimaev, for his part, has largely focused on training and upcoming title shots until now. So the stage was set, a canceled fight, a simmering grudge, and a rivalry brewing online. But the story exploded when it turned personal. The rivalry turned ugly this July at the UFC 318 Media Day. Costa finally went public with what angered him the most. Chimaev had slid into his girlfriend's Instagram DMs with insults. Costa told reporters that Chimaev talked very bad things about me, nasty, in my girl's Instagram DMs, so this is totally personal. He said the Chechen star sent dirty things to his partner, manager Tamara Alves, including a line like, "You should look for a better man."
You said he was sending messages in her DMs.
Do you remember? Yeah, dirty things, you know, like, man, you man, you should look for better man, something like that, you know?
Costa was fuming. He yelled that a real man wouldn't harass an opponent's family member. Why did he message her and not me? Coward? Costa accused. On camera, he openly wept at recalling the insults. He refused to drop the topic. "I feel angry just to hear his name. I want to hurt him," he declared, making it clear this beef had gone far beyond rankings or titles. In short, Costa made the feud very personal. Chimaev had crossed the line in Paulo's book by targeting his girlfriend. Costa later noted on Ariel Helwani's show, in less polite terms, he'd call Chimaev a son of a bitch and demand, "We need to fight, once and for all." So far, he's managed to mostly censor himself. Chimaev's alleged messages have not been released publicly, so we only have Costa's account. But media reports confirm his story. Costa said Chimaev told his partner she deserves a better man, an insult Costa summed up as not the kind of things a real man would do. The Brazilian was livid. By stirring in a girlfriend, the feud turned from sports rivalry to a personal vendetta. Costa had barely taken his seat before the press conference ended, and already he was breathing fire. But Khamzat Chimaev didn't stay silent. Khamzat Chimaev reacted quickly, not with an apology, but with more trash talk. On social media, he mocked Costa's tearful press conference. In an Instagram video and tweet, Chimaev zoomed in on Costa wiping his eyes and taunted, "Bro, what's going on with you? Don't start to cry, please." It was a brutal, mocking reply that highlighted the publicity stunt. This kind of response is very Khamzat style. He's built his career on intimidation. The 31-year-old Chechen has bulldozed opponents in both welterweight and middleweight, and he often lets his snarls and insults fly. He clearly aimed to embarrass Costa, implying he's too soft or emotional to be a real threat. Behind the scenes, though, Chimaev has much bigger things on his mind. He has one fight on the schedule, a middleweight title fight against champion Dricus du Plessis at UFC 319 in August. That belt could be his very next step. Reports note that Chimaev has assembled an Avengers-like training camp to prepare for du Plessis. In other words, he's all business as a title contender right now. And the Costa drama is a sideshow to him. It's telling that Chimaev's replies were all about Costa's tears and not about the DM claims themselves. He dismissed them out of hand and kept his focus on fighting the next one on his list. First Usman, then Whitaker, a submission finish last fall, and soon du Plessis. He hasn't publicly apologized or denied the messages. Instead, he's playing the confident heel while his star continues to rise. Now each man has something huge on the line. Khamzat Chimaev has been nearly unstoppable. He's undefeated, 14-0 pro, 8-0 in UFC, and coming off impressive wins over former champions. If he beats du Plessis, he'll be UFC's new middleweight champion. Inside his circle, there's even talk, though unconfirmed, that Chimaev might retire if he achieves that goal, since as one contender joked, he's got a lot of money already and could walk away. On the other side, Paulo Costa's career is at a crossroads. The 34-year-old Brazilian once blasted through foes and was a title challenger, but lately he's struggled. In fact, Costa has collected just one win in 5 years, as analyst Israel Adesanya pointed out. After an Adesanya loss in 2019, he's gone just 1-4 in his next 5, dropped decisions to Whitaker and Strickland. He's not even in the top 10 anymore. Officially, he's number 13, and even Kapylov is just number 14. So for Costa, UFC 318 against Roman Kapylov, July 19th, 2025, is do or die for his title dreams. Every outlet stresses that. The UFC's own press release labels the co-main event a showdown with the potential to shake up the division. MMA media note that a win would put Costa right back in the conversation, even calling it a possible title eliminator. One reporter flat out summarized, Costa needs a win Saturday if he hopes to make an important call-out. Costa himself has said the same. He's gone public saying, if God gives me this victory, I will call Chimaev's name and demand the fight. On camera, he's repeated that sentiment, promising to grab the mic after UFC 318 and announced that Chimaev needs to fight me and I need to fight him. In short, Costa sees beating Kapylov as the ticket to a showdown. If he loses again, though, that opportunity could vanish. Meanwhile, if Chimaev wins his title fight, the picture shifts. Adesanya's article noted that if Chimaev becomes champ, Costa will likely have some more work to do to earn a second title shot. In other words, the path gets steeper. Some insiders even whisper, as Brazilian contender Caio Baralho recently hinted, that Chimaev might retire after winning the belt. If that happened, it would completely reshape the division. And if Chimaev loses to du Plessis, then all bets are off. A loss might leave him looking for new opponents, and suddenly that Costa fight could be back on the table. Bottom line, both men are fighting for their futures. Costa is desperate to prove he still belongs among the elite, and Chimaev is after UFC immortality, or at least a belt. Everyone from fans to fighters is weighing in. Former foes have chimed in, notably Israel Adesanya, who reminded Costa that he's still dangerous only if he gets serious. Adesanya told Costa to show up and just get serious again, admonishing him to go back to who you were before you fought me. In short, Adesanya thinks Costa has lost focus, and Costa needs to buckle down if he wants to compete at the top level once more. Caio Baralho, ranked number 9, drew headlines by claiming he heard Chimaev might retire with the belt. That sparked speculation. If true, the UFC title could suddenly be up for grabs. Baralho himself already has a title eliminator coming up, but he's the kind of insider stirring the pot about the top contenders. Even the UFC's commentary team sees implications. ESPN's broadcast notes labeled UFC 318 pivotal and highlighted the Costa-Kapylov fight as one that could move into the top 10 and make Kapylov's case to be included in the title conversation. Analysts say if both men win their upcoming bouts, Costa over Kapylov and Chimaev over du Plessis, we could be one step closer to seeing Costa versus Chimaev finally happen. Everywhere you look, people are asking, will these two settle it in the octagon, or will one or both change course first? If Costa struts out with a big finish, he'll be screaming Chimaev's name. If Chimaev grabs gold, he might quietly move on, or perhaps have to face a fresh challenger. Right now, we're on the edge. UFC 318 looms, and Costa must defeat Kapylov to keep his dreams alive and to have any leverage to call out Chimaev. A loss there could relegate Costa to the fringe, undercutting his threats. Chimaev's showdown with Duplessis at UFC 319 will either make him champion and maybe, shockingly, a retiring champion, or leave the door open for a rematch with a hungry Costa. One thing's for sure, this rivalry has become must-see drama. As one MMA writer put it, a Costa-Chimaev bout would have all the makings of a summer blockbuster. The UFC brass has booked other big fights. Holloway vs. Poirier 3 headlined UFC 318, for example, but a grudge match like this practically markets itself. Dana White and matchmakers will be watching the results closely, and so will the fans. Will Costa channel his anger and climb back up to face Chimaev? Or will Chimaev breeze to the championship and forget this personal beef? All we know is the next few weeks will be explosive. The trash talk and the DMs have rattled cages all the way up the division, and when the octagon doors open again, someone will finally have to settle this score. Stay tuned, because one way or another, this feud is nowhere near finished.